And good evening, traumatized citizens of Gotham, and welcome to another episode of Geeklife, your source for all the nerdy news you need to know. If you're new to the show, we are about a 2-hour-ish mashup of all the pop culture news you know and love. We talk about video games, we talk about movies, comics, TVs, and all the nerdy talk you love whispered into your ear late on a Sunday night. My name is Dodd. I am your host tonight, and joining me today is a man whom, despite looking remarkably Hagrid-like, isn't a flaming transphobic piece of shit. The man, the myth, the legend, Jake the Great. Yes, isn't. He's not the transphobic piece of shit. Hagrid is a transphobic piece of shit. If you didn't get the underlying message of that, I want to be very clear. He's a piece of shit. Transphobic piece of shit. Jake's not. How are you doing today, Jake?
I'm doing well. You're a wizard, Harry.
Yes.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. Yeah, you're a piece of garbage, Harry. There you go.
You're a piece of garbage, Hagrid.
But yeah, no, I'm doing great. Dodd, how are you?
I'm doing good. I feel a lot better now that I got that off my chest. I feel like I just needed to, with the news earlier this week with the Harry Potter game coming out and everything. I just had to feel like there needed to be more people screaming out into the world that J.K. Rowling and other people are transphobic pieces of shit. So I meant to make sure to do that. But also joining us today, live from the remains of the world's largest gender reveal party, is Bronwyn, the warrior princess. How are you doing, Bronwyn, now that all of California knows it's a girl?
Doing well. I actually tried to drive to Palm Springs a couple days ago to escape the bad air quality, and literally as I was driving in, I passed another fire. And I was like, oh fuck, that is just driving right back into it. So I haven't been able to escape.
California wildfires are literally running from other California wildfires.
Yeah.
There's a Smash Mouth song that could amalgamize this, but also Smash Mouth's a piece of shit. Because 2020 has just revealed that everybody is a piece of shit.
And gender revealed it.
Gender revealed it, exactly. What have you guys been doing to binge your way through the apocalypse? How have you guys been surviving this week? What content have you been indulging in, Bronwyn?
Still been on that Star Trek train, so I've been going down there. But I actually want to start the new Jurassic Park show tonight, the Camp Cretaceous or Cretaceous or whatever.
That's an interesting idea. I forgot that came out. I think it came out this weekend, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out I think yesterday.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Gonzo?
Yeah, so I'm currently still watching The Boys every Friday as soon as they drop. Lovecraft Country every Sunday, and Raised by Wolves every Thursday. That's my watch cycle at the moment. Living for those days. Every other day, I just do a lot of depression naps. Or play Paper Mario 64, which just dropped Friday on the Switch, and 3D All-Stars came out, so I'm going to make my way from Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine, and then Mario Galaxy, knocking all those out just to fill this COVID void. And so
nice, very nice. I think that I've been all over the place. I've been finishing up content. I finished up Away on Netflix, which is absolutely fantastic. Not really nerd related, but there's nothing that builds. People talk about thrillers. There's nothing more thrilling to me or anxiety-inducing than shit going wrong in space.
Yeah.
And a real level.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Literally, it's just like them floating around outside for hours, really, really stressed out. And you're just sitting there just stressed out with them. And it was great. But the one thing I've been throwing a whole bunch of attention to is a new draft league that I've been involved in, which is the Universal Gaming Association. I wanted to give a shout out to them. Tons of content creators from all around the globe. Huge draft league for Pokemon this is. We just finished our draft. I'm in the Sinnoh division, and I have some plans to make some kind of exclusive content for the UGA draft league. So I'm super excited about that, but that's really kind of what I've been up to. But yeah, before we get started, we wanted to go through a quick reminder that if you like what you see here on the show tonight, feel free to follow us here at Geek Life Live or on any of our social medias. We got a YouTube, we got Instagram, Twitter. Podcast will be coming soon. Or you can even follow us on all of our personal socials. You can catch me at Roose Bane. Brahman, where can they catch you?
At Space Nymph.
And Jake?
At Gonzo Gone Live on both Twitch and Twitter. I'm here. I'm going to start streaming again soon. It's been a big internet nightmare over at this house. So we finally got all that fixed, though. Going to start streaming some shit again. It's going to be great.
I feel you. I feel you on the internet troubles. It's a necessity this day. It's one we could consider it a public utility, but
the water of 2020.
They would have to be sane in order to do so. All right, so we've got a great show planned for you guys. Jake, hit us with that rundown.
Yeah, Jake has rundown if viewer has coin. Just kidding. We'll let you hit it for free. As always, we're going to start on the small screen and talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the world of TV. Cuties has Netflix subscribers thinking they booked a ticket to Epstein Island, so we'll find out what that's about. You guys want to get high? Because South Park is having the pandemic special, and it's coming real soon. Plus a whole lot more, but this show is packed more than a Trump rally during a pandemic, so we got to keep it rolling. Then we're going to kick it up a notch on the screen size and head over to Hollyweird for this week's movie news. Kang Gang, which I loved that so much, sorry. Kang Gang Unite. Lovecraft Country's lead could be heading to the MCU. Plus, so many release dates are doing the COVID shuffle, it might make the jump to a TikTok trend. And then next up in the world of video game news, we're going to be talking about next up, we're going to be pitching tents to wait outside because the PS5's drop date and prices were announced. And you thought I was talking about our huge erections, but I'm not. But that's, what you were thinking about. So shame on you. And speaking of dirty minds, ready to get wet because we are diving deep in this week's deep dive, the console wars. Who's winning in 2020 and are they even still a thing? Which takes us straight into this week's Top Zen, which is on exclusives that changed their console's brand forever. So we definitely have an amazing show planned, but enough talking. Let's get into some more talking. Dodd, I heard that you got a cutie for us this week, or you got something that's a real cutie for us this week in the TV news. Tell us more about that.
Inappropriate transition for this.
Yeah, it's a little cutie. Disgusting. A little cutie nibble of the news.
You're disgusting. Anyways, I don't know if you guys heard about this. You guys have had to have heard about the cuties controversy that's been going on all across the internet, really, but mainly because of the short and sweet of it. Calls to boycott Netflix have been growing largely over concerns over controversial promotional images for the Sundance film recently added to Netflix titled Cuties. The poster shows young girls around the age of 10 to 11 dressed in provocative positions and provocative clothes. And now the same demographic that drove toddlers and tiaras into the mainstream are somehow really upset about it. The poster does merit some disgust, let's be honest. But it's the exact opposite of the intent of the movie. The movie was produced by a young Muslim woman. I'm trying to pronounce her name right. Forgive me if I do it, but Moimoa Decore. I hope that's right.
Nailed it.
Who shows throughout the film the horrors of the sexualization of children face on social media, and honestly, these kids' ignorance towards their own sexual objectification. The director had nothing to do with the promotional image and had no prior knowledge of it, and Netflix has since removed it, but the social effect still remains, and the effect that kind of lingers around there. I feel like there's a lesson to be learned here, though. Bronwyn, can you sum this up for us like Kyle at the end of a South Park episode?
Just, when a marketing ploy kind of takes over and people lose their senses. I don't know. I went into this movie. I wanted to watch it. I had no idea what it was about or anything. And as soon as I started watching it, I'm like, wow, this is really thought-provoking and interesting and touching on a great point. And why is everyone freaking out of this? It's simply because of the way that it was marketed. And I think it's just most of the people complaining about this movie haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know anything about it or haven't even seen it because, I mean, yeah, there are some provocative moments and these girls, but it's telling a really important story, and that's a part of culture. So to turn a blind eye to it and just pretend it isn't there, doesn't do anything. A movie like this can point this out in a really interesting way, and I think that if people actually who are upset about it saw it, they would see that, and there's no reason to be canceling your Netflix subscription over a Sundance film that won a bunch of awards. And if you look at the poster for the French version of this film, it's just 4 girls strolling down the street with shopping bags. Like,
right.
sorry.
It was not meant to be portrayed in the light that it definitely was portrayed.
Yeah.
The image. Jake, there's no way that you missed this story. This one was pretty big. What are your thoughts on the whole cuties controversy?
Yeah, I think the day we all learned that sometimes, the outrage on the internet is usually just outrage on the internet, I haven't seen it, but it sounds like it's one of those things where, like, the director has come out and talked about how, like, it was supposed to be exposing all this stuff. Like Bronwyn said, it's really not as bad as people think it is. I haven't seen it. Not really a movie I care to see. Like, I kind of already, like, I mean, I don't want to say I'm woke, but it's like, at the end of the day, I do know, like, kids are sexualized, and that's something that's fucking terrible, but, like, I don't need to watch a whole movie about it.
Yeah. Like, it's sexualizing younger girls, but it's not in, like, an exploitative way. It's like saying, this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's trying to showcase that it happens, and it happens without even sometimes the kids knowing it, I think, and also sometimes without even adults knowing it. I think it was funny that you made
their own objectification.
I think it was funny that you made the Toddlers and Tiara thing, because my mom even made the joke. She was like, these girls, everybody upset on it on Facebook has watched Dance Moms. And, like, like, all those girls are doing, like, kind of provocative dances and everything. And so it's like, I don't know. Like, I think the movie shouldn't cancel Netflix. Like, they obviously, like, it was a Sundance film. It came out. It's not a Netflix original. Now, Netflix definitely does deserve some heat for, I guess, the kind of, like, shock marketing that they did, to kind of, like, get it out of there. And so, like I said, I think if there's one, kind of like South Park like lesson that we can take away from it is that, today we learned that, ads sometimes can just be people, which I think was an actual whole season of South Park.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of South Park, things are starting to feel normal again because South Park plans a pandemic episode. Bronwyn, you know more about the pandemic episode that South Park's got going on. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yes, on September 30th, South Park is coming out with a 1-hour pandemic special. This global crisis that we're in almost feels like a South Park episode already. So I look forward to how they will be able to expertly satirize our current events. This marks a unique moment in the history of South Park because this is their very first full-hour episode. Yes, there have been multiple part episodes in the past, but this pandemic special will not be broken up at all. It will run for that whole hour. We still have to wait a little bit longer for the next season to air, but this is a nice treat to be able to tide us over until then. Are you guys excited about this new episode? Will you be watching this when it airs?
Stoked.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked. I feel like this will help me feel like things are back to normal again when this can be properly satirized by South Park and can digest it.
The comic relief we need.
Matt and Trey have even said that it's hard to do the show because of how outrageous the real world is, and, they because when they, made Mr. Garrison kind of like this Trump character and everything, like they didn't, I don't think they really expected Donald Trump to win. And then the last 4 years to have been how they were.
Right.
And so, like, I thought the show's been so interesting and I'm so happy to have it back. And I love these new, like, the pandemic special, because last time it was like, a Halloween special. And, like, I love Tegrity Farms, like
Tegrity Farm.
It's just the world needs more Tegrity, And so I'm excited to get more Tegrity in my life.
More integrity. I mean, I'm stoked. It's good to see them back in Matt and Trey Parker back working together for it. It's good to see. I don't know. It just South Park makes me feel like the world's back in normal. Things are are back to the way they used to be back when we were watching things like The Mandalorian, and things felt normal. We were just talking about how cute Baby Yoda was. Speaking of The Mandalorian, though, there was a new trailer that dropped for The Mandalorian. Jake, you got some more info on that. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with that new Mandalorian trailer release.
This is the way to have me keep my Disney Plus subscription.
Exactly.
Earlier this week, we got to look at the upcoming season 2 of Mando, and goddamn, have I missed Baby Yoda and the whole gang. It's really been. I know it hasn't been too long, which is honestly like kind of awesome.
It's been literally all of quarantine.
Yeah, it's been just quarantine, really. But the release date is sooner than expected, October 30th. Which, like, when they dropped this release date, I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked. I was literally just like shocked because I was so excited that we're gonna have this back so soon. I literally Disney kind of takes its time on things, so but it's perfect timing for me to skip the bars and on Halloween and just kind of binge some Mando. They'll probably release the first 2 episodes, or maybe do something like they did last time where it's just 1 episode and then we have to wait each week. But either way, it's really looking like it's going to finally get into some more Jedi lore. From the trailer, at least. That's one of the big things that I got from it. I love how he says, oh, so now I have to go to this place filled with enemy space wizards and deliver this baby. And so I'm super stoked to deal with more space wizards. What are you guys most excited for, though? Did either of you get to check out the trailer, Bronwyn?
I haven't checked it out yet, no, but I am excited for this. I just need to figure out my Disney Plus login information.
The last time you logged in was Mando,
yeah, it
right?
was Mando.
It was for Mando. Yeah.
What about you, Dodd?
I mean, I'm super stoked for more Space Wizards, man. Especially with how well the series has evolved and how much it's been grown into the lore. I mean, like, we've had a really crappy episode. These past trequel. What do we call these? The sequel series. Yeah.
The movies.
What is it?
I don't know what you want to call them, really. I don't have a name for them yet.
The ones with Rey, and all the new ones. What are we calling those? The sequel.
Rogue One.
The sequel trilogy. Not
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One.
Oh.
Rogue One doesn't count. No. You can't throw Rogue One. Just the crappy ones. No.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to pretend.
Exactly.
The joke is that I don't remember those movies, and I'm asking like Rogue One. Like, is that what you're?
Jake, I love when you describe your jokes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Exactly.
I'm here all week.
Explain the for us so the viewers can get them too, because obviously it goes over the viewers' heads too, right? And everyone.
It's very highbrow humor. It has to be explained.
It has, still, it like other than Rogue One and the Mando. That's been the best Star Wars content that's come out in these past couple of years, and it's the only ones that Star Wars fans really just want to cling to and be like, no, this is the way,
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked to see more Mandalorian come out. But that's not the only thing that Disney Plus has been spitting out recently. They've even dropped another big announcement this week, which is that She-Hulk is looking to begin production in February and has already picked a lead. Bronwyn, you know more about this, the She-Hulk story. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, I do know some more. So She-Hulk has been postponed a few times due to COVID, but they have finally set a new production date, and that is for February. Along with this news, we also found out who will play the role of Jessica Walters, the attorney who transforms into She-Hulk. Emmy Award winner Tatiana Maslany, who you may recognize from her lead role in Orphan Black, will be bringing this character to the screen. So that's pretty exciting news. Actually, I didn't know too much about She-Hulk, so I was looking up a little bit about her before the show. She seems super badass. She has the same abilities as Bruce Banner, but she doesn't have rage problems, which is pretty awesome. So she could control coming in and out of Hulk.
Wow.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, and they're cousins too, which I didn't know.
Yeah, doesn't she gets her powers through a blood transfusion, I believe,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think something like that. But she, like the badass woman she is, can control her rage.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see what it is. I think the series is going to be everything I wanted Jessica Jones to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm excited for it because I've always been interested in the Hulk and She-Hulk, like you said, similar powers but different kind of like setup, and so I would love to learn more about her. My literally only introduction to She-Hulk was from the Old Man Logan graphic novel, where her and Hulk have like inbred babies because they are cousins in that novel as well, and so
Wait, what?
yeah,
That's a weird one.
Old Man Logan's wild, guys. I don't know if anyone's actually read that graphic novel, but it's definitely a trip. So that's my only intro from She-Hulk. So I'm excited to get a palate cleanse.
Hey.
Yeah, very Alabama She-Hulk. But anyway,
She-Hulk, the cousin fucker.
yeah. But they took over all of the essential East Coast, so they owned all of it. Like it had to stay in the blood. It's like royalty. So I'm excited to get a new She-Hulk in my head. Is what I'm saying.
Did they have Hulk babies?
Yeah, in Old Man Logan,
Like
and
they,
just
like,
in that
they
comic
have
book
powers?
universe. Yeah, the Hulk babies have power. Yeah,
Oh
there's
my
even like
God.
little baby Hulks. Read Old Man Logan if you want some trippy shit. That's a
I
crazy
need to
one.
read.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to read Old Man Logan. Well, in more celebrated news about more things returning, we have got a long-awaited question that has been answered finally, which is that Harley Quinn is coming to HBO Max. After months of anticipation, we finally have confirmation that Harley Quinn season 3 is coming, but not at the same home that it's had for the first 2 seasons. Harley Quinn is moving up to HBO Max with the rest of the DC Universe's top titles. It also confirms what fans have suspected for a while, that DC Universe is moving away from original content and is rebranding as a home for DC content across multiple platforms, but as a larger focus on the comic selection. What do you think of the death of DC Universe, and is it the right call, Jake? I know that you talked about you kind of enjoy DC Universe for a lot of the comics aspect of it. If it just kind of focuses on that aspect and is still a home for DC's content, but is not really, going out of its way to produce its own, how do you feel about that?
I need to double check what I'm paying monthly for it. I know that sounds bad, but I'm a subscription whore, so I kind of have like a bunch of them, and I just let them run. And I really do need to go back and check and see how much I pay for it, because I feel like it's not that expensive at the moment, and I feel like if they made it a little cheaper, it would even make it more worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's moving to comics only, that is kind of an issue, right? Like I read the comics, so that's good for me, but I also loved the Harley Quinn show.
Right.
I thought it was amazing. Doom Patrol has been phenomenal as well. And literally both of those shows almost alone have kept me on DCU for a while. So even though I already have an HBO Max subscription, so this isn't really a gut, like a real gut punch, for me, because I'm going to still be able to watch it either way. It definitely is making me have to think about like, how much is that DCU subscription again? And is it going to be worth it? But the unlimited comic books that I have access to right now makes me feel like it may stick around for me. So I don't know if it's the right call though. Not entirely sure on that one. Definitely time will tell. I feel like DC's definitely playing nice with HBO Max, and HBO Max seems to really be crushing it right now, in my opinion. So maybe it's just DC latching on to the better performing of the streaming platforms, and HBO's under that Warner Brothers umbrella and everything as well. And so it could be good for DC in the long run, could open up a larger audience for things like the Harley Quinn show, which I've talked about for a long time. Been screaming from the rooftops how amazing the show is for a hot minute. So I'm excited that it gets on HBO Max.
I'm excited to see it there too. Brahma, did you ever check out the Harley Quinn show?
I haven't, no, but maybe I'll give it.
It's one that you need to check out. It's one that you definitely need to give it a shout. But that's all that we think is important in the TV section. If you don't think there's something that we missed, you should argue with us on social media. But if we're going to move on to the movie section, because we got a lot to talk about with this Lovecraft Country star, Jonathan Majors landed a huge role in Ant-Man. Huge role in Ant-Man. Kind of a role that's way too big for Ant-Man. What's going on with this, Jake? Kang the Conqueror? What's going on?
Yeah. Jonathan Majors has been crushing it on Lovecraft Country, and it looks like the hard work has paid off. He's coming to the MCU in the next Ant-Man film, and he's rumored to be Kang the Conqueror. And if you're wondering who Kang is, the character is most frequently depicted as an opponent of the Fantastic Four, as well as sometimes the Avengers. So it's interesting that we're going to be seeing him in an Ant-Man film. It could actually be a setup for a much larger role in the future, which I think has a lot of people excited. But and by a lot of people, I mean that Kang Gang that I was talking about earlier. If you guys didn't know, hashtag Kang Gang, it's all over Twitter. The Kang Gang's been blowing up about this for a hot minute. A lot of people love Kang. Anyway,
Kang the Conqueror. He's got his own. He's got his own Twitter tag now.
These are all jokes. These are all jokes. The time traveling entity. Several alternate versions of Kangs have appeared throughout Marvel's titles over the years, and in 2009, Kang was even ranked as IGN's 65th greatest comic book villain of all time. So this is definitely a big role for Jonathan Majors, and excited to see him land in the MCU. That's kind of like that's a huge check. You know what I mean? Yeah. And but Dodd, how excited are you to finally see Kang coming to the big screen? Are you a member of the Kang Gang?
I am a member of the Kang Gang, hands down, 100%. He was one of my top picks for who to replace Thanos as the next big bad to replace it. And honestly, I hope that's what they go with, because Kang the Conqueror is much too big for Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man does not need to be taken down or Kang the Conqueror doesn't need to be taken down by Ant-Man unless he's got Squirrel Girl on the team with him, and they're just going for some wackadoo shit.
I'd love to see that.
That would be an interesting way to do that, I think. But that's my only suggestion. If you throw Squirrel Girl, if it's Ant-Man and Squirrel Girl, Squirrel Girl, and the Wasp, that's like, the neighborhood garden attacking Kang the Conqueror. I don't know. That's a pretty interesting movie to me. But hopefully he has a bigger role in the MCU. He's a great actor. I've been watching him in Lovecraft Country as well. It's usually what I watch after this stream to chill out and kind of calm down. So I think that's he's a great pick, and I'd love to see him in more stuff as he goes on. So super stoked about that casting call. Bronwyn, what about you? Do you have any feelings on Jonathan Majors snagging Kang the Conqueror, or possibly? We still don't know. It's not confirmed.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually That's a good kind of like redaction. Yeah, it's still not even 100% confirmed. This is a huge rumor.
Yeah, it seems like I'm interested by the prospect. I'm not too familiar with Kang the Conqueror, and I've yet to see Lovecraft Country, although that's on my list. But
so she's not in the Kang Gang. Okay.
You just been added to a different list.
Sorry guys.
You need to get a notepad for during the show so that you can write down this list of stuff that you need to go watch. You got
right here. Okay, we got it. Let's go. Kang the Conqueror. Or no, I'm writing Lovecraft Country on this.
Lovecraft Country, yes.
Definitely watch Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
Oh man, watch Lovecraft Country. It's been phenomenal. Yeah.
Harley Quinn, another one on that list. Yeah.
Okay. Homework. Gotcha.
Now on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Now I'll remember that password too.
Now on HBO Max. I
have some movie news.
Yes. Yeah, and you got plenty of time. We're still in quarantine, and we're still under the deadly effects of the global pandemic that strikes us all. And the COVID release date shuffle is just one of the many byproducts of the global pandemic that we are in right now. And there's been a lot of recent release date shuffles, if you will, that have gone on. Bronwyn, you know a little bit more about some of these shuffles. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with some of these movies.
Well, Black Widow is being delayed again because Marvel is really pushing for that theatrical release instead of going to video on demand. So dependent on the release of this film, whether or not it makes it for the holiday season, we will most likely see a shift in the entire phase 4 of the MCU. Everything's being pushed back dependent on this. Disney, however, is taking a different approach. With Pixar's Soul, they're exploring the possibility of releasing it on Disney Plus, much like they did with Onward. Wonder Woman 84 is being pushed back as well. Instead of that October release date, they're going to move it all the way to Christmas Day, making it one of those major holiday releases. Dotson, since there's no guarantee that things will be back to normal by the holidays, do you foresee more delays in the future, or should everyone start taking this Disney approach?
I think that if they want to deliver good content to their fans, they need to take that approach. But they're capitalists at the end of the day, and they want to make their money, and they know that economically they're not going to make the money that they need to even probably make back the money for production for both these movies, and have to count both of them as a loss.
Yeah.
And
do you think even if they charge like Mulan?
I mean, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at Mulan's numbers and we can see what they stack up with in a couple of months. But I don't think that the scores are doing really well now. Mulan's also got political backlash on there. I don't know how much that people can point to that being like a main indicator for why it didn't succeed. But also at the same time, you got to think about, Wonder Woman is carrying on the legacy of the first movie that came out, which is one of the highly successful DC staples. It has to be good. It is their bread and butter at this point. And Black Widow is the first time that they've actually decided to give Black Widow a chance and have a female-led movie. And so there's a lot of weight on those two movies too to do well, for more reasons than they're just economic. Like they want these movies to look good, and they want to put them in the best possible light. And honestly, putting them on video on demand, I don't think does that for answers either of those questions well, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, having that just power of that cinematic release, I feel like with those types of movies. But if Wonder Woman was coming out in a couple months for $30 on video on demand, would you guys pay that?
Yeah, I would because I'm a DC fanatic.
Yeah, I think I would.
And I think more people would say yes than maybe to Milan. So I don't know.
Yeah, Milan wasn't even, unfortunately this is going to, come from a place of privilege, but Milan wasn't that huge of a political thing for me. It was just that the original was such a, something that I held close to my heart, and they gutted it out, and I heard they had none of the redeeming qualities of the original. And so and I don't want to give Disney money for something that I openly know I don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it gives the wrong message whenever we keep shoving money down Disney's throats for these remakes and then keep complaining about the remakes, Yeah.
Exactly. I think that question is even, I'm even less hesitant to say yes for Black Widow. Like, I would absolutely pay $30 for Black Widow. I'd probably pay $35-$40 for Black Widow.
Black Widow, man. It looks cool.
Because if you market it as not only Black Widow, but also more MCU, after Avengers, continuing to tell that story, absolutely anything to get anywhere close to that sensation. Because yes, one of the things I miss doing is going to the movies. One of the movies I miss seeing is going to see Marvel movies and seeing how that story is continued throughout the years. Yeah. So I think that Black Widow has even more of a sell for video on demand than even Wonder Woman 84 is. But of the two, I think that Wonder Woman 84 is more likely to go on demand, if I have to guess. I think Marvel's going to want to make that money.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
Yeah. Anyways, well, the COVID shuffle continues, but that does not been stifling creativity of other directors, including Thor Ragnarok director. I always mess up his name as well, but I'm going to just try it. Taika Waititi. I think I said that right, actually.
Taika Waititi, yeah.
Taika Waititi is set to make a new period comedy for HBO Max with pirates. I'm so fucking excited for this. Jake, tell me all about it.
Yeah, Taika Waititi is keeping very busy and is about to add another project to his roster. It's been announced that Waititi will make a new comedy period comedy show for HBO Max, which HBO Max just crushing it, by the way. So hot right now, so hot. The filmmaker and the actor will produce a show titled Our Flag Means Death for HBO Max. The show is based on the life of a real-life man named Stede Bonnet, who in the 18th century was known as the Gentleman Pirate. Bonnet was a wealthy aristocrat on the island of Barbados who gave up his privileged life to become a pirate. Everything Waititi touches lately has turned to gold. What We Do in the Shadows was phenomenal. Jojo Rabbit was phenomenal. I've just loved everything about everything this guy's done. Thor Ragnarok, we gave kind of the shout out to earlier, was awesome. Are you guys on the to keep or the Taki train?
Oh my gosh, so much so. I'm definitely on that train. I loved What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
Both the movie and the spin-off like TV show is incredible. I have yet to see Jojo Rabbit, but that's on my list of things to watch. And anything he comes up with, I know is going to be just so brilliant, so funny, and just enjoyable.
I mean,
Jojo Rabbit, so good.
Yeah, I've seen Jojo Rabbit as well. It's fantastic. Everything he touches, you're right, turns to absolute gold. I love pirates. Absolutely love pirates. I have pirate tattoos. That's the only thing. Like, I have a big blunderbuss on my arm. I don't know if I can see that, chat.
Oh,
But
wow.
anyways, I have a big pirate flag in my room because I just love pirates. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. There's a lot of reasons why, but
It's a pirate's life for Dodd, you know?
Exactly, right? I used to sail back in the day, and I
wow.
wore pirate hats and, would drink rum and all kinds of shit. And I love pirates. And seeing Taika Waititi, who's been absolutely fabulous with What We Do in the Shadows, Thor Ragnarok, been absolutely spitting out amazing content these days. Doing something like this, especially you just hearing the plot line, the gentleman pirate. This is something I'm very excited for. So I can't wait to see what it is, and can't wait to see how I'm just excited for it. I don't know what else to say.
It's going to be like I said, HBO Max, so hot right now. Everything he's done has been phenomenal. He's a super hilarious, super smart dude, great director, great actor, everything all around. Like, Jesus, like he's been nailing it. And so to have a period piece comedy around pirates, I'm here for it. I'm here for it too. But that's all we got in the movie section. We're moving on to what's going on in the world of video games. And in the world of video games, the legendary Rocket League goes free to play next week. Bronwyn, you got more information on that. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with Rocket League.
Yeah, on September 23rd, next week, so just in a few days, Rocket League will be free to play. A recent update came out in anticipation for this, giving players who already own the game a few new cool features. Some of these things include cross-platform progression linking, legacy items unique to them, creator code to use in their item shop for discounts. The free-to-play version of Rocket League will also include some revamped challenges, new items, starter packs, and there'll be an in-game event to kind of commemorate this called Llama Rama. Will we be seeing any Rocket League streams in your future? Dodson, I bet you could make a fun drinking game out of this.
I could. No. I think I've learned my lesson with drinking games on Twitch. Hopefully. But I love Rocket League. Rocket League is a lot of fun, and I think that I've finally stalled out on buying Rocket League long enough to wait for it to become free to play. So nice. I think that's a win for me. I think I waited it out, guys.
You saved that 20.
I waited it out. I saved that $20.
Yeah, all this saved time. That 20.
For all these years, I saved that $20 because I've played Rocket League before, and I love Rocket League. I've only played it when I've been over at my friend's house, so I'll definitely be downloading it, and I'll definitely be playing it, and it'll definitely be, adding me to the. It's a great one because it's a great couch co-op. It's a fun one to be able to play. So I'm super stoked about it. But Jake, did you play much Rocket League back in the day?
Oh, I've dabbled. I've definitely dabbled, and I'm super excited for it to be free to play. I already have it on everything, so they've gotten a little bit of money from me. I have it on my PC, I have it on my Xbox, and so I used to play it pretty heavily. A lot of fun. It's a hell of a fun game, and it's so. This is only going to expand the audience, and so the matchmaking's always been quick, but now it's probably going to be even quicker, and there's going to be a whole lot of new players for me to just dominate. So it's a good time to get back in, I guess. If you ever fell off,
I fell off. I think it's a good time for me to get back in. So we shall see. Well, one of the things that we found out this week, guys, is that I don't know if y'all know this, but the Sony executives, they don't watch Geeklife, and it's really disappointing, and they should watch Geeklife.
Unfortunately.
I'm going to tell you why, okay? So PS5 made their big announcement this week. And we're going to cover a ton more of this in the deep dive later on, so don't worry. We're not skipping over that part. But they covered price points, different models, new controller features, exclusives. Even announced a Harry Potter game that's already received backlash. Why? Because J.K. Rowling is a transphobic piece of shit. But we don't need to get into all of that. And we are going to go into a bunch of those exclusive titles and features and everything like that in the deep dive, as I said earlier. But we did want to talk a little bit about the pre-order chaos. Did you guys catch what happened with the pre-order chaos?
I've definitely heard a lot of the pre-order drama. Yeah.
So here's the TLDR. Apparently, the lead Sony executives, they don't watch Geek Life because they didn't watch our particularly our worst gaming announcements episode, because they totally pulled a Sega Saturn. Okay.
Nice.
Well, almost. They didn't announce their pre-order details, and they kind of left the community kind of wandering around for answers, or when do we get pre-orders? And then Walmart clarified immediately that day, and then PlayStation goes, oh no, pre-orders actually go live tomorrow, and Walmart's already like, oh, but they're already live today, and Target's like, well, that's fucking unfair, they're live today over here. And Best Buy's like, what the fuck, dude, they're live over here now too. And it crashed fucking Best Buy's website, and
We'll do it live.
Exactly, and they sold out in nearly 24 hours everywhere they were.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much impossible to get a PS5 in either version. So it's a hell of a whole lot of chaos.
But Sony, I did read that Sony has promised that there will be pre-orders for everyone. They're like Kanye West. They're like, everybody's going to get Yeezys.
Exactly. There will be more pre-orders at launch, and there should be they're making more in production and yada yada and all this other kind of stuff. And Microsoft didn't miss the opportunity to absolutely dunk on them, being like, "We're going to make sure that when our pre-order stuff goes live, it'll be clearly announced, and everybody will know what's going on." So, how do you feel? How do you feel as the resident Microsoftie of the group, Jake, about watching PS5 just absolutely botch this pre-order announcement?
Yeah, dude, it's interesting. I was thinking about it earlier because our deep dive, obviously, we're going to go into more detail about the console wars and everything, and with Xbox, they've definitely, had a lot of debacles in the past, right? But this launch has actually seemed pretty well put together. I honestly don't know if this is all Sony, if it's not like one of those things where like it's a domino effect, right? Sony fucked up somewhere, but then someone else messed up. Yeah, Walmart fucked up too. And so it's like, it was kind of a shitstorm altogether, right? And so it's not all on Sony, but overall, like everybody's gonna get their consoles. This is one of those things where I think it's gonna cause a little bit of news for a little while, but and also never buy a console on launch anyway. I hate to be that guy to tell everybody, but like it's a terrible idea. There's always bugs. Give it a few months. I was an Xbox 360 launch owner. I had 3 Xbox 360s. So I'm just letting you guys know, give it some time. All right.
Give it some time.
Which I don't know. Like it's 2020. Maybe they'll be right. But then at the end of the day, listen at that sentence and tell me if that doesn't sound a little stupid. It's 2020. Maybe it'll be okay. That's a terrible sentence to say. It's 2020. It's definitely going to have bugs. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, for all we know, they're going to catch on fire and say, it's a boy. That would be the 2020 console, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
or it'll yell racial slurs at you.
Yeah, something like that. It's okay. All right. Anyways, well, talk about some of the things that have been highlighting things in 2020. Fall Guys gets a mid-season update, adding new obstacles and all kinds of cool stuff. Jake, as our resident Fall guy, what's going on with Fall Guys?
Yeah, dude, I do be playing some Fall Guys. It's a lot of fun. And Fall Guys just released its Season 1 mid-season update, and it introduced some wrinkles to the game, including a giant hammer that will hit you when you least expect it. So that's pretty awesome. The game has also introduced new anti-cheater measures to deal with hackers. So we're obviously, gonna be. They used to just send those guys over to Cheater Island. Now they're actually going to be completely trying to shut those fucking notifications up, but they're going to be completely booting them out. So there's a whole new thing going around with hackers. Some of the contests that players have enjoyed so far receive a shuffle as promised. So your previous strategies might need some adjusting. New obstacles are being introduced, including lots of tumbling fruits in areas where there was not tumbling fruits before. So be on the lookout for those. And now there's going to be levels that rotate that never rotated before either. It sounds like a lot of these updates are going to be coming unexpectedly as well, which means it's just going to be trying to keep players completely on their toes with some of these new updates. But one of the biggest additions that people are really excited about is called the Big Yeetus, a huge hammer that can appear and
Big Yeetus.
a big hammer that can appear and just yeet you across the level. In the mid-season update trailer, we could see that the hammer seems to largely help some players, smacking them in the direction that they were wanting to go. But as expected, it'll punt some players coming across the course and into the void as well. Dotson, do you still throw up in your mouth a little bit when you hear about Fall Guys? Or are you excited for some of these updates?
No, I'm good. No, I'm excited for these updates. I've gotten to the point where I can look back at that stream and like go back and try to edit content. So I think I've matured past the point of being able to stomach that stream now. And I hope to finally return back to some good Fall Guys shit. It was really a fun one to play, and so and it was a great stream as well. So hopefully I get to enjoy some more of it. Hopefully it kind of some of these updates kind of mix things up a little bit, make the game fun. Have you gotten a chance to play with any of the new updates yet, or no?
Not yet. No, that's what I was saying earlier. Is I'm hoping I'm going to be able to stream some of the updates next week and stream a few other things. Been dealing with a lot of those internet problems, but I'm excited for this update. Fall Guys doing well has me very happy in my soul. So,
yeah, agreed. Well. That'll about wrap it up for our video game news. But there's stuff going on in the rest of the world that we got to talk about, including stuff that's going on Twitch, which I don't know if you guys heard this story, but Twitch thought it was a good idea to make sombrero emojis to show support for Latinx streamers, and let's just say it didn't go over too well. Brahman, you got more information on this. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, in a tweet that has since been removed, Twitch announced a, quote, customized sub emote to show support for your favorite Hispanic and Latinx streamers. So these included the pictures of these emotes, which were insensitive stereotypes of Hispanic culture, just caricaturizing different elements of like really stereotypical things like sombrero wearing, maraca shaking, and after the public uproar that commenced immediately after this, Twitch decided to take everything down, issued a statement saying that they clearly missed the mark and that they apologized. Do you think that this sort of response is adequate, or do you think that they just needed to have a little bit more foresight going into this?
I mean, they should have had more foresight going into this for sure, but yeah. I mean, them issuing a statement going, well, they clearly missed the mark and we apologize. Like, that's an understatement, that's a dramatic understatement. It was racist. And I mean, yeah, it's good on them for quickly removing it and being at least responsive, but really shouldn't have happened in the first place.
And I mean, that's why it's important to have diversity in the workplace.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Twitch's like team or whatever, but like anytime you're designing something that's essentially like a global platform, like you should definitely have more than, a couple of Caucasians up in the room. I don't want to like overspeak because I don't know. I haven't seen their team. Maybe they do have a very diverse team. Maybe the team just missed the mark on this one. But this doesn't sound like something a diverse team of, some thinkers would have come up with,
I think I'd have to agree. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, but that's it. It doesn't sound like something like a group of diverse teams would have sit around and came up with. No,
I completely agree. But that's not the only corporate fiasco that's been going on, especially in this country. And if you've been living under a rock, you haven't been heard about what's going on with TikTok. I recently actually got a TikTok just to piss off the president. But it was what it was going to be banned, and then it got saved, and then what? Jake, give us the whole story. Give us the whole TikTok update.
Yeah, you missed a real chance to give a shot at Donald Trump and say, speaking of being racist against Latinos.
Yeah, there we go.
Donald Trump approved the Oracle deal yesterday. Essentially earlier this week, it was rumored that TikTok was going to be banned and removed from the App Store completely come today, Sunday. Still in the store as of writing this. Trump approved the deal to keep it going, and users would have still had access to the app until mid-November either way. So it's not like TikTok was just going to go up and vanished, right?
Right.
It was going to be no longer downloadable as of Sunday and no longer usable as of mid-November. But then even WeChat's kind of having some issues because no WeChat deal was approved, and I believe it's still in the store today as well, where a few judges actually stopped Trump's order of completely removing them out of the store. But deal terms are coming in, and it looks, and the dinosaur that is Walmart are getting a piece of that TikTok pie. While they claim the deal is for national security, I believe we all know it's not. Trump legit doesn't like TikTok. It is pretty, probably the most petty human being to ever be in the White House. But anyway, are you guys going to be hitting a TikTok dance to celebrate, Bronwyn?
I've never been on TikTok, actually. I've seen your videos, but through like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So, but I guess I could celebrate. I like the fact that I guess it still exists, and that
it's funny that somehow by banning TikTok, Donald Trump made it like a thing where it's like a fuck you to Donald Trump to get a TikTok.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like things being banned or censored. So yeah, let's have TikTok. Let's dance and have our data stolen.
Yeah, we're already giving it out.
Exactly. The whole thing is like what's really great about having a TikTok now is when my annoying Republican friends or coworkers or whoever are trying to talk to me about politics, I'll say, hey, follow me on TikTok, and send them one of my TikTok videos, and they treat it like it's like a COVID patient. They're like, and it's just like, oh no, and it's just literally me, a video of me dancing to fuck Donald Trump because that's why I got a TikTok. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that you've been able to make it into a political statement. I don't know. I think I think it's good that it's been able to be saved. The fact that it was even in this position in the first place is pretty fucking ridiculous, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy that it's here anyway, but at the end of the day, it's nice that a deal's finally getting done, and that we're going to be able to keep TikTok around. It's definitely one of the fun kind of little social media things that I think's kept a lot of people sane during quarantine, or distracted, maybe a better word. But I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, our data's being given to everybody through every platform. Twitch data mines. Facebook does. I don't want to, slap the hand that feeds us, but everybody collects your data on the social media side. If it's free, you're the product, and that's the biggest thing that people have to remember. No matter what it is, if it's free, then you are the product. The data they collect on you, that's how they make money. And so, most of the free products that we use, that's how they're doing it, the same way that TikTok was doing it. It's just that America felt kind of like, oh no, not China. But anyway, luckily It looks like it's saved.
It looks like it's saved. Well, with that, we're going to go get saved and take a short 10-minute break. And we don't have any new follows to address, but we do want to address all the cheers in chat. Thank you so much, Nelly.
Thank you
for all of those cheers. We appreciate that. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really chat about other than that. Anyways, if you guys want all the up-to-date info on all the nerdy news you need to know, be sure to follow us here on Twitch. Be sure those notifications are on, or follow us on all of our other social medias. And yeah, with that, we're going to kick it off to a break, and we will see you guys in 10 minutes. Peace.
And now, a message from Captain America.
Hi kids, I'm Captain America. And today, I'm here to remind you that the word Antifa means anti-fascist. And being anti-fascist means punching Nazis in the f***ing face. And do you know who loves punching Nazis in the f***ing face? That's right, this guy. So, unless you think I'm a terrorist, you should stop calling Antifa one. I honestly can't believe I'm having to explain this to you, but here we are. Go vote.
From the studio that brought you the absolute dumpster fire that was Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, and basically every other DC disappointment comes a movie that should have come out months ago. The second iteration of the first female-led superhero movie of all time. That remains one, if not the only, glimmer of hope in an otherwise clusterfuck of billion-dollar flops. Wonder Woman 84. Featuring nostalgic 80s vibes so your boomer parents can still say they had fun. And Kristen Wiig as the rejected Cat's character from hell. Wonder Woman 84. Just come out on video on demand already. Or DCU. Or HBO Max. Or wherever the hell DC is deciding to send content to die these days. Wonder Woman 84.
Oh. And welcome back to Geek Life, and we're talking about the console wars. That's right, guys. Let me set the stage for you guys. Utter chaos is ensuing in the streets of America. Divisions in our country grow deeper by the day, and war looms in the horizon. These things would be totally funny if they were a metaphorical joke, but they're rather than a cold reflection of our actual reality right now. But enough about politics, am I right? Let's talk about the war of capitalistic achievement. That's right. We're talking about the console wars. There is a ton of questions on everyone's mind regarding the next generation of gaming and the multitude of options and the nearly decade-long commitment that to one of the two of these big gaming giant corporate machines. Tonight we're going to dive into the differences between the two consoles, which console we think will be best for certain types of gamers, and we will choose our starter console for the fifth generation of gaming. First, let's start off with some of the specs. Give us the down to Sony's approach here that was outlined this week, Bronwyn. What do we got here? What are the differences between the models?
Yeah, so we have, starting off, there's two different price points of models. They have the PS5 with that sort of pricier option, that $500 price tag, but then there's going to be a digital edition, a discless console for $400, and they are tacking right on after the Xbox Series X release date with a November 12th date. So you could really tell they've been trying to just make sure they're a part of this race and they're not lagging too far behind on that. Of course, some of the things that set Sony apart is the exclusives that we'll kind of get into a bit later. But those games that are really their flagship games that play the best, but you can only play it on their system, and they usually play up the best graphics on the system as well and really utilize every single one of their amazing features. These features include 10.3 teraflops, which is a new word I learned today. RAM and resolution and frame rate, they kind of mirror the Xbox Series X. They have a little bit less storage space, but the standard PS5 will also run games at 4K resolution, which is really exciting, as well as a new feature for PlayStation. Usually a lot of their games aren't backwards compatible, so you wouldn't be able to play their older generation games on the newer systems. This is kind of how they've been pushing people to buy the new systems, but actually on the PS5, they're going to be allowing for some of those games to be played, which I think is a really good idea. So yeah, that's a little bit of a breakdown of what you'll see in the PlayStation 5, kind of what sets it apart and what's a little bit similar to the Series X. But Jake knows a lot more about the Xbox, so
Yeah, we talked a little bit about what Xbox was doing last week, but for our viewers' sake, what's Xbox doing here? What are the price points? What are the differences between the models? Jake, can you kind of break down Xbox for us?
Yeah. So essentially, one of the big differences is going to be, the price points are almost exactly the same. And the cheaper version of the Xbox, which is going to be the Series S, also is going to be discless as well. And so, but the differences between the Series X and the Series S are pretty small, but we're going to go over a couple of them. Both consoles share the same CPU, but there's a significant difference in the GPU. The Series X has more power to be able to run games at a 4K resolution with 60 frames performance, and the Series S is capped at, but the Series S is capped at 144p performance, but can apparently hit up to 120 frames per second at that resolution. Despite having a weaker performance, the Series S is still ray tracing capable, allowing it to take advantage of the revolutionary light rendering technology that Xbox is hyping up in this release. The Series S only features a 512 gigabyte SSD, while the Series X sees a far more spacious 1 terabyte capacity. The storage can be upgraded for both consoles with bespoke external storage solutions from Microsoft, but expect them to cost a ton of fucking money, which, that's classic with Microsoft, especially if you're trying to upgrade your storage. Just buy an external hard drive. But anyway, it'll be $499 for the Series X and $299 for the Series S. So very comparable to the PlayStation, not just in specs, but also at the exact same price points.
Right. Really, really good breakdowns. I mean, so far, very comparable systems. But for many gamers, it's the exclusives that make all the difference. What's Sony bringing to the table as far as exclusive titles, Bronwyn?
So some PS5 exclusives include Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a really great game. It's set in a far future America. Guerrilla returns for this Horizon sequel coming to PS5 and PS4 in 2021. We also have Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. The next chapter in Insomniac's Spider-Man series focuses on Miles Morales in a game like Uncharted in scope, and launches holiday 2020 with a PS4 version as well. And then we have to be excited for the new God of War. At least I am. The next installment in the God of War series, which has yet to be named, will be coming in 2021. And from the title, we can only assume that the fall of Valhalla will come into play during this game.
Yeah, all you have. I saw the trailer for it, and all you have for the trailer is just the big one. He makes a symbol, and you see at the end of the symbol, it's the serpent. And if you saw the end, if you played God of War, it ends with it's setting up for Ragnarok. So the next title is going to be God of War Ragnarok.
Most definitely.
It's going to be. And it's
I'm
going
hyped.
to be about
I'm here for
Ragnarok. Yeah, I'm super stoked about it. But there's some titles that also that are not necessarily first-party titles, but are exclusives to the series that I'm super excited about, which is some of them are Returnal, which is a new action game where it's like a weird mixture between Lost in Space and Groundhog Day. Astro's Playroom, which is going to be a game that comes preloaded on the PS5, which is kind of like a jump around, play around thing that you can use to explore the DualSense controller, a lot in the same way that Wii Sports was. But you get to control a little Astrobot that goes through different little like Mario-esque kind of worlds. I think that's really, really awesome. Even stuff like Destruction All-Stars looks pretty fun, which is a car-based it's a game that kind of blends on-foot combat and car combat together in these big, giant arenas with the kind of like that Fortnite style kind of look. Deathloop is another game about two assassins that are set in a time loop together.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
And Ghostwire Tokyo is another new game that basically imagine like Cyberpunk 2077, but in an anime, right? Okay, so you got like Japanese ghosts and everything like that, everything like that, and you're like a Japanese exorcist, and you're basically like expelling demons. That's what Ghostwire is, and that
sounds pretty fun.
These are just brand new titles that we've kind of never seen before, and I think that those are stuff to be super duper duper excited about on Sony's side. But Xbox has got a Halo, right? I mean, and with Halo comes Craig, right? So, Jake, what's Xbox got as far as exclusives?
Hey, Halo changed gaming forever, so you better put some respect on Master Chief's name, okay? But, obviously on launch, Halo did get delayed, so we're actually going to get the new Xbox before we actually even get the new Halo. But the new Xbox is kind of like built to play the new Halo, so hopefully when that new Halo drops, it'll be kind of a good reason. I think I'm honestly going to wait to buy the new Xbox when the new Halo arrives. That's going to give the console a little bit of time to kind of like get some bugs worked out as well, right? And so, give the reviewers a little bit of time to, let me make sure that I'm going to stay Team Xbox, because I'm still an undecided voter. But, we'll also be getting Assassin's Creed at launch. That's going to be awesome. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, sticking with the whole Valhalla kind of thing that's been going on. A lot of Norse mythology getting thrown around. I don't know if there's something in the water around that, but anything. Anyway, we'll also be getting a new Gears of War, and a new Fable game is going to be dropping a little bit around post-launch as well. And so Xboxes seem to care less about the launch exclusives as of late, though. And I think Microsoft is just heading into a more friendly direction in general, where they're trying to be a little bit more open sourced, if you will, while PlayStation definitely seems to be trending more into the pure like stay on the PlayStation and play these kind of like cinematic games, if you will, which I think is honestly, not a terrible way of going about it. Obviously, it's been successful so far for them.
That's why I like the PlayStation so much.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about both of these coming out at a cheaper price point. I think as someone who's built a PC and who has been playing a little bit more on PC, I may buy both of these consoles this year, guys. Both of the cheaper options. They're each $300 each. That's $600. That's still cheaper than a brand new PC by far, right?
That's interesting, yeah.
And so $600 for both of them, and you get to play all the exclusives. I don't know. I don't know. I may ask
for the lower price point one a bit. I mean, like the Series X. Especially, I mean, the Series S is a last gen console. Like, I don't. You are sacrificing a lot of different quality by going down with the Series S, where with the PlayStation Digital, it's just the same thing minus the disc drive.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's
kind of
just
an easy buy.
Yeah. Right. I feel like that's an easy buy because it's kind of like, to me, it's like being a gamer on challenge mode, Like, can I navigate the gaming world without a disc drive? I'm giving up a lot because you're giving up used games for $100,
That is true. Yeah.
So that's something that you have to think about with that, or at least used games in the sense. Well, I mean, there's no used games that you can buy digitally, but at the same time, there's a lot of games that I play now. I don't buy used games from GameStop very often. I mostly go wait for games to age digitally and go on sale.
Yeah. So you still have that. It doesn't seem like you're sacrificing that much.
I'll ask you the same thing that I've asked everybody who's kind of shit on the whole like no disc thing. What's the last hard copied game you bought disc wise?
Batman.
I can't even remember. It's also.
Did you say Arkham? Arkham which one? Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so funny. I think one of my Batman games is one of the last ones that I bought too. It's been years. It's been years.
Exactly.
You can also help save the planet by using less plastic.
Yeah, that is true too.
It's true. It's just data.
Yeah.
All right. Well, got a piece of ice. Hold on. Sorry.
Delicious.
Okay. Delicious. I got a couple of questions to ask you guys. First one. Which console will streamers flock to? Or is PC still the master race when it comes to streaming content? Bronwyn, I'll let you go first on this one.
So I think that the PC is still the master in the master slot of this race. But I don't think it's the most accessible thing for gamers, for streamers, definitely. But I think your average gamer is going to be doing one of these two consoles. I would love to have a badass gaming PC, but that's a lot of money, a lot of investment, time spent into it when you can just get one of these two consoles that kind of wraps it all up in a nice little box for you already. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think that the PC is going to be the winner still for streamers. I've yet to really master how to stream from my consoles or to stream while playing a console. So like, I need to actually figure that out a little better because there is some kind of Twitch stuff that I've been wanting to, or some Switch stuff that I have been wanting to stream.
Switch
and
stuff,
so,
yeah.
that's going to be
Gotta get an Elgato.
Yeah,
Switch,
exactly.
Switch Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. That was an easy way to get those kind of mixed up. But I think that the PC is going to stay reign supreme for streamers right now. It's just if you are looking to get the most cutting edge, right? Like if that's really what matters to you, getting the top frames per second and no lag, not dropping, all of that super competitive online play. That's on PC, and that's still only on PC. Both of these consoles are still going to be for casuals. But that's okay because the normal gamer is a casual gamer, and like you said, the both of these, and especially at this year's price points, are going to be way more accessible than a PC will be.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are some good points, especially the accessibility portion when it comes to PC, because those are really super duper expensive. I did have someone that asked me this week, audio wise, which do they think is going to sound better? Jake, which one do you think is going to sound better audio-wise? I know that's a very specific question, but give it your best.
No, I believe, honestly, and this is not me just being the Xbox, kind of master race or whatever, but the Series X is the most powerful gaming console coming out this next year. It's the top of the line when it comes to basically everything. And so I think it may be the better sounding one. But then I don't know, because honestly, Sony is doing so much interesting things with the controller now, where there's supposed to be some sound even coming from it. Like the Sony is the PlayStation's moving into almost Nintendo realm with the controller and some of the stuff that they're trying to do there, where they're almost offering a different kind of I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? Almost a different experience than what the Xbox is kind of offering, right? The Xbox is basically saying like, hey, you basically want to be a PC gamer, but you don't have PC gamer money. We're going to build a mini PC for you to play on. And here you go. Sony's saying, we're still kind of an entertainment console here, and there's still some new things that we're going to be throwing in. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Sony didn't kind of look better and sound better in some aspects, because that's kind of what Sony's going to go for. And that's what they're playing, or that's the game that they're playing. But what do you think about it, Braun?
So I play everything through my shitty projector speakers, so it's all going to sound pretty bad to me.
That is true. I do have a Bose speaker, so everything's going to sound okay.
But you do, I mean, when you think of Sony, you think of sound, not quite so much with Microsoft. So I definitely would be leaning more on the PS4 for that. And as you mentioned, the game controller features have always been really interesting and add a different auditory element to the gameplay as well. I'd be interested to see, though, how the sort of specs on the sound differ from that higher priced console to the cheaper one. Because I feel like it's really dependent on, with the Xbox, there seems to be such a difference in those two tiers, whereas the PlayStation's kind of level in what it does. So maybe if you're getting the lower tier PlayStation, that's going to sound better than the lower tiered Xbox. But if you're getting the higher tiered Xbox, that could sound better than the lower tiered PlayStation, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot to think about there, and from what I've seen, I think, and it might just be my internal bias too, but that the Sony's going to sound better. But to be honest, the Microsoft is kind of offering a gold option and then a shit option, and I think that that's a very, very interesting model, and especially when it comes to what the Series X can do. We'll see. We'll see what sounds better in the long run, but my gut feelings tells me Sony is going to end up sounding a lot better. But few people realize that due to the absolute dumpster fire that was the Wii U, the Switch is actually technically Nintendo's 5th gen console. So the 5th gen is technically already here. But Nintendo is Nintendo really a competitor when it comes to this type of gaming? Are they, in essence, a part of the console war? Bronwyn, do you think what are your thoughts are on this?
I do not think that they are part of this war. I think they completely stand alone because if you look at people either have an Xbox or a PlayStation, and then they also have a Nintendo system. It's not like you have one of the three because Nintendo has been such a stickler for exclusive games. All they have are exclusives, pretty much. So. Right. Pretty much. They have a few more now. But
their best games, their bread and butter has always been first-party games.
Yeah, you can't play Nintendo games anywhere else. They've really cornered the market there. And so I don't even think they should be classified as part of this war. And I think that also doesn't drive them to be as cutting edge when it comes to technology because they're not trying to have the fastest processor doing this, that, and the other, streaming in this crazy 4K quality. They're going, no, we're giving you the system to play our amazing games and you're going to buy it and you're going to have this. And then you're also going to have a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Yeah. It's interesting because certainly at one point in time, they were a part of the console war.
Yeah.
They absolutely were a part of, who we talked about when G4 was a thing and E3 was actually a big event. We would talk about what Sony is doing, what Microsoft is doing, and what Nintendo is doing. It was those three. And now it really seems like it's narrowed down to just two. When do you think that split was, Jake? Like, when do you think it became just the war between PlayStation, Xbox for this type of gamer?
I think Nintendo decided just to go into a different direction. I don't think that they wanted the hype of trying to push the processor, the power, the speeds, the frame rates, all that stuff. And I think they wanted the ability to relax and be almost more innovative. With the Switch and what it does, Microsoft couldn't do that. Sony couldn't really do that. Sony tried the handheld and the PSP. I don't mean to continue the shit on Sony parade, but like, Jesus, that thing was not great, bro. I had one. I was a Sony user at one point. I had a PSP. It was garbage. But it was a little bit ahead of its time. I will give it that. I don't want to completely shit on the PSP. But anyway, before I get into a long rant about how the PSP is like a 50-50 piece of gaming history, Nintendo, I think they've almost taken themselves out of the console war to say like, look, we're our own thing. We're at a cheaper price point. We're more innovative. We're more handheld, so we're more kind of like this whole like you can take us on the move kind of a thing. This isn't necessarily something that has to stay at home, but can stay at home if you would like it to. So you have options. It's definitely something that applies to, I think, a much larger base of people too, and that's what Nintendo's looking at. They're saying that like hey, rather than like just pick a side, we're just going to make games for everybody. Because there's even rumors now that they're going to drop a 4K Switch soon. And that's going to be great for people who are trying to push 4K on some of their Switch games. And so I think they're doing what's best for kind of everybody and trying to play a little bit off of everything, but without fighting in the war. They're what's a good analogy here? Are they France or Canada? I don't know. They're one of those countries. They're one of those countries that like instead of getting like really, really involved, they're just like, we will give you aid.
Exactly. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Well, with both of these next-gen consoles that still are participating in the said war, we're getting 4K gaming experiences. But does this kind of dethrone PC as the gaming go-to, Jake? We talked about this a little bit earlier. How do these stack up against PCs?
I definitely don't think they dethrone PC because at the end of the day, if like I said earlier, if you are looking for 4K, if you're looking at 120 frames, if you're looking to push the maximum amount of anything, right? You can only do that on a PC. You can't do that on the Xbox. You can't do it on Sony. And the thing about the PC that's so amazing too is that you can upgrade way quicker than you can do anything on a PC or on an Xbox. As I said earlier, anything that you do to upgrade your Xbox is going to be very costly. Whereas on a PC, you save up a little bit of cash. After you build it, really, it's just there. And you can upgrade the graphics card. You can upgrade the RAM, processing, all that stuff. And it's fairly easy to upgrade yourself, too. You can learn a couple videos about it. And so It's really interesting, that the consoles are as strong as they are because they're getting there. They're getting so close. But I feel like PC is always just a little bit ahead of them, and then within a year is a leaps ahead of them. These consoles are made for decades almost, right? Like you had mentioned that as well earlier. And so, whereas a PC, they jump leaps and bounds every like 2 to 3 years. And so, it's just, I don't think it's going to dethrone them anytime soon. But what do you feel about it, Bronwyn?
I think that, PCs are a standalone thing, and that there's just a sense of freedom and customization that you don't get with the other systems. And that allows for even just not these big releases that we are like anticipating. It's just, like these things just gradually come out and you have the control to be able to update it as you please. But I think that, I don't know. I think that I'm always going to be kind of more of a console gamer. Mm-hmm. There's something about it. There's something about the systems that I just love. And
I love the cheapness of just being able to plug an HDMI port into.
Yeah,
dude,
it takes up less space.
I'm telling you guys, I mean, I know that there are ways to do it at an affordable rate. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to have everybody pissed off at us saying that, like, oh, Jake's a PC elitist. But at the end of the day, dude, it is an expensive one. And it's one of those that it takes a lot of room. I have a whole office dedicated to it. It's a privilege to be able to be a PC gamer and a streamer, right? Like it's something that I couldn't afford or do for a very long time. I had to game on just my Xbox for years, Yep. And that's just what you kind of have to make do with. But it's awesome that they're, going to have lower price points that are still pushing the boundaries. Honestly, that's something that I got to give PlayStation kudos for. Like you said, their cheaper price point is just digital only, but it's still super fucking strong. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like if you're a kid and you're looking to get like the best out of your gaming console and the most out of bang for your buck, it's looking like PlayStation right now.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. All right. Well, last question before we move into this top 10. Are the console wars still a thing? And this is a question that Jake asked when we were even talking about this. But I thought about this more. And are the console wars really just the thing, or is this really just an artificial pissing contest between an oligopoly between these two giants that's just basically made to foment us towards one side or the other, to get us to buy whatever shit it is they come out with and defend it vehemently? Brahman, what do you think?
I think there's the console war is still a thing and I'm thinking less of the intricacies of the specs of the systems, because we have the technology to make them pretty much compatible. I don't think you're going to be sitting there on one system or the other and really being like, oh, this it has so and so teraflops and yada yada yada. I think it's those exclusive games. I think that is what that war is, pitting you against each other. Like, I want to be able to play God of War. I'm going to buy the PlayStation. I want to be able to play Halo. I'm going to buy the Xbox. I think that is where the war is in their content.
Yeah, it's a war of content more than it is anything else. Interesting. Jake, do you have any feelings on this? Is the console war still a thing?
I mean, the reason why I asked the question is because I don't think so. I think at this point they were. Don't get me wrong, they were. I think the console wars were definitely a thing that were going on for years, right? I think it was both Microsoft trying to compete with Sony, even though Sony had almost a 5 to 6 year head start. I think the PlayStation 1 came out in 94. And the Xbox didn't come out until 2001. And so it's one of those things where Microsoft was coming to the party late, but they were saying hey, we kind of want to be a competitor in this industry. I think they proved their point, became a competitor in the industry, but then started to fall back in recent years. And I feel not fall back in as far as getting out of gaming. Obviously not. They're obviously putting the gas pedal on gaming. I think they've fallen out of the competition part of it, right? I think they're trying to say we've built Xbox as a brand now, and you're gonna be a Microsoft user either way. PC Master Race, I'm using Windows 10. You can't run a PC without Windows, and so you're still kind of in Microsoft's grasp, if you will, right? And so, and I think it's something they realized. So now Xbox is just a brand that they can continue to push stuff out. People are still going to buy it. It's there for the casual gamer. But with things like xCloud that are coming out, where you're going to be able to download apps on essentially iPhones and play Xbox games on an iPhone, on an iPad, on all of these different kind of platforms, it's Microsoft pretty much saying we're not in the console wars anymore. We just make consoles.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you got a great point. But I do think a lot of it. I think that there is a point to Bronwyn's point, and if that is the case, then in that console war, by your context, Nintendo is in the war because it's a war of content. It's a war of where the majority of people that play video games are going to. Are they attracted to whose content? And if that's the case, I mean, it looks to me like Microsoft has kind of went from a sprint to a jog in that race.
Yeah.
You know, whereas. I mean, some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier, you know, Returnal. I mean, that whole idea is a very unique concept. I mean, scroll back up to here. Deathloop, even Astro's Playroom. You know, all of those things, and them kind of expanding out on their content. I do think that there is, in a sense, a race that they're racing. And if there is a race, then there's a war. There's a console war. That race is the console war, in my opinion. But I think that the herd's definitely thinned out, and the consoles are two comparable consoles. And at the end of the day, the only thing that, I mean, the thing that benefits the most from the console war are Sony and Microsoft, because then you get these galvanized fan base that, you know, becomes these people that no matter what console you put out, they're just going to defend it vehemently and buy it and spend their money on it. And the more people you can kind of convert into that galvanized state, the more loyal customers you have. Period.
Oh yeah. No, and after all of these consoles have been out, so Nintendo's been around for essentially all of my life, right?
Right.
With Xbox being around for essentially most of my life, and PlayStation being around for almost all of it as well. 94, like I said, I was only like 4 years old, bro, whenever the PlayStation came out. And so it's one of those where, like, you know, these consoles have been around since, you know, a lot of people that are alive now are kind of bored, especially a lot of active gamers. And so people have kind of like gravitated towards what their favorite is. And I think some folks have stayed there. Now, are there still some swing voters? Oh, most definitely. Right. And I think that's where we see the war still raging, is within those new gamers, maybe somebody who's not sure, you know, like, what do I want? Xbox or, you know, like a PlayStation, and PlayStation saying, do you want single player story driven gameplay? Come over here, come to daddy. And then, you know, like Microsoft is over here saying, like, do you want, you know, high performance, you know, so you can play some first person shooters like your Fortnite, you know, like all of that stuff, drop in with great frame rates and, you know, really dominate people in an online experience? Then come on over to Microsoft. And so the war's still being raged, but I think it's a lot smaller than it was, say, in the early 2000s.
Fair enough. Well, I think,
like I told you, I lived it, bro.
You lived it. And for those of us that lived it, it was the iconic exclusive that made that experience, and probably, you know, as I was talking about earlier, galvanized that brand loyalty. You either became, you know, whether or not it was the console, whether or not it was the price point, whether or not it was the exclusives. For most of us, it was the content. For me, for most of us, it was the exclusives. For most, you know, I remember when it was Wii, PlayStation 3, and what is it, Xbox 360? Yeah, Xbox 360. Between those three choices, my first choice was the Wii, because the exclusive titles were so iconic to me that I had to get that first. PlayStation was after that. Xbox was after that. And I think that has always forever set in motion my priority as far as how I value those exclusive contents. But other people have rearranged that throughout the years differently, and that creates different kind of fans. And, you know, with that said, with the console war, current console war, moving into a real Bay of Pigs like stage, we thought it would be a good chance to take a look back at some of the exclusive titles that define these gaming giants. And by defined, we mean like became the face of Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony. Exclusive titles that essentially defined the brand. They define what your fan base look like. They define what communities they create. And most importantly, they're one of the most biggest influential factors in which console people buy first. And with that decision quickly approaching for a ton of us, we thought we'd take a look back at some of these exclusive icons. So let's get right into it with number 10 in our countdown, the Final Fantasy series. Yes, there couldn't be a better pick for the start of this countdown than the RPG of all RPGs out there. Final Fantasy is fun fact. Final Fantasy was rumored to have gotten their name due to the company allegedly facing bankruptcy in the game's creation. The game was rumored to be a last-ditch effort in order to save the company and the creator, and for the creator to remain in the industry itself. And so Final Fantasy seems like a fitting title for the time. Had the game not sold well, he would have quit the business and gone back into the university. This was supposedly the title. But this isn't the actual story. According to multiple sources, including the creator himself, Hinaro Sakaguchi, I hope I said that right, in 2015 explained the real origin. The team wanted to abbreviate the title as FF because that sounded really cool in Japanese. The name was originally going to be Fighting Fantasy, which would sound good in Japanese, but there was concerns over trademark conflicts with a role-playing game book series of the same exact name. So they needed to settle for something else, and they thought Final Fantasy sounds cool. So that's where the real title of the name came in. But irregardless, the name became the name of one of the most iconic franchises we know and love today, and still sells as an exclusive title with a lot of money-making potential behind the IPs. Even if you're getting a new PlayStation console, you're likely getting it for the new Final Fantasy, which they announced a Final Fantasy 16 for this one. I think that's one of the exclusive titles that we forgot to mention with it. But like, I know plenty of people that came onto my stream this week when we were playing Avengers, just talking about how they're just getting PS5 just for Final Fantasy 16 and nothing else. So it is definitely one of those iconic titles. Either of y'all play any Final Fantasy growing up?
I played Kingdom Hearts. Oh, sorry.
Kingdom Hearts. It's kind of close.
Same. I played. I would honestly say I played a demo of Final Fantasy whenever I was much younger on my PlayStation 1 or 2. It was either one of those, and I was just like, at that age, was just not feeling turn-based combat. It was just not for me.
That's why I played it for a little bit, but I'm not a big fan. I need more excitement.
But then it wasn't until Disney came along and was like, "Hey, you know that turn-based combat you didn't really care for?
We're gonna give you a giant key."
Yeah, what if you could do it with Donald fucking Duck?
You get to do it with Donald Duck and Hercules, baby. So it was one of those where, like, I'm in Bronwyn's boat. I definitely played a shitload of Kingdom Hearts, but never really got big into Final Fantasy. I know there's a little bit of overlap there.
I love that style, though. My gosh, the animation and the music. Oh.
The music's iconic as well. The characters are iconic. I can look at some of the characters and go, oh yeah, that's from Final Fantasy, having never played Final Fantasy. And that tells you, pretty much everything you need to know about its iconicness.
Wasn't there like a beach volleyball kind of game that was sort of Final Fantasy universe, or is that?
You're thinking of Final Destination, I think.
No, that was Dead or Alive, right?
Dead or Alive.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. You're thinking of DOA.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a horror movie. We're getting all of our names mixed up. These are very iconic things, but not the icons we're talking about.
No.
But number 9
Jiggle
is
physics.
Also an iconic Sony title. Bronwyn, you have a little bit more information on. Tell us a little bit about Shadow of Colossus coming in at number 9 on our countdown, Bronwyn.
Yeah, so this came out originally for the PS2 in 2005, then was later remastered for the PS4, and has always stayed exclusive to Sony. The game follows a man named Wonder as he travels through a forbidden land on a quest to kill 16 massive beings called Colossi, because in doing so, he can restore the life of the woman he loves. The game is minimal in the sense that your only task is to kill these godlike creatures. There's no towns or dungeons to explore, not even other characters to interact with. But the complexity is in the gameplay and the sheer beauty, which makes it stand apart from any other. Each battle is like a puzzle in that there are precise and correct ways to kill each colossi. The game also tugs at the heartstrings with its emotional storyline and journey. This is one of the more obscure games on this list, but I thought it was important to talk about just because I think this does show the iconic nature of PlayStation to put these kind of more artistic and thought-provoking games on the forefront, things that are really story-driven and I think set it apart from Xbox.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. I think that,
Yeah.
we see stuff like that with, again, some of those games I was talking about earlier, Returnal, Deathloop, some of those cool games, and they're still experimenting with new kinds of drama. I mean, I was talking about the, I think, what was it, Ghostwire, Tokyo
Yeah.
Ghost,
Yeah.
the Ghostwire Tokyo, which is, basically being cyberpunk Japanese exorcist. Like those are really bending a whole bunch of different levels, stylistically, visually, artistically, Sony is really known for that. And I think that Shadow of Colossus is a great example of an exclusive title that was very iconic and showing Sony's difference in how it's different than Nintendo, how it's different than Microsoft. I think that did very much individualize it, in my opinion. Jake, what do you think about Shadow of Colossus?
I have seen nothing but like awesome clips from this game. It's one that I've never gotten a chance to play, but it's one that I definitely, if I ever do get a PlayStation in the household, will be buying it and trying out maybe some of the older ones, or even the newer one looked phenomenal. And so such a cool game, cool concept. And like Sony, this is kind of just what they do. They come out with games like this and take chances. And I think it's awesome that this one made the list.
Yeah. Well, moving right along on our list is yet another Sony exclusive that was a little less subtle in its appearance in pop culture. One might say it crashed into pop culture, if you will. Number 8 in our countdown is Crash Bandicoot. Jake, tell us why Crash Bandicoot crashes into the countdown at number 8.
Yeah, no, Crash is probably one of my favorite games from my childhood. From 96 to 2000, this was a PlayStation exclusive. It eventually opened up to all consoles. I think the Insane trilogy is on both Xbox and PlayStation. So you can now go back and play Crash on pretty much everything. But from 96 to 2000, you could only find this bad boy on PlayStation. I actually traded in my Nintendo 64 for a PlayStation 1 just because of Crash Bandicoot. And it's like top 10 like regrets of my childhood is the fact that I didn't hold on to my Nintendo 64 for longer. But like there was something about like disc. I was like, disc or the future, mom, I have to have it. And so, but because that's PlayStation, they changed the game. Literally, when they introduced disc, they had better graphics, bigger games, a lot more stuff that you could do. And I remember the first trailer I saw for Crash Bandicoot, I was like, this is straight shitting on anything that I have on this Nintendo 64 right now. And so I made the jump. But this was named the 25th best-selling game franchise of all time in 2011. It's one of the reasons why I was a PlayStation user for many a years in my younger days. And it just felt more kind of like a mature, like console experience, if you will, like with Crash Bandicoot, because it was still a platformer game, right? So it was basically like a Mario or like a Yoshi or, Story or any of those that you were getting on your place or on your Nintendo. But it was much more adult feeling, more mature. And, for lack of better words, it felt more American, which, like to a young kid in Alabama, which is what I was at the time, that was like, that was what I was kind of like, okay, I gravitate more towards this than like Final Fantasy, right?
There you go.
And so Crash made it, appeal to Kid Jake. And still some of my fondest memories growing up are playing, Crash Bandicoot. But probably not as fond as number 7 on our countdown, which you have for us, Dodd. What's at number 7?
Number 7, might not vibe as much with Jake's nationalistic tendencies towards Crash Bandicoot, but definitely was a big staple in my childhood. Number 7 in our countdown is Pokemon, because you can't talk about video game without talking about handheld gamings. And I know y'all are tired of hearing me talk about Pokemon, but I mean, like, again, you can't talk about the history of gaming without mentioning handheld games, and nothing sells handheld games like Pokemon does. To this day, Pokemon remains one of the staples of handheld gaming, even in a world where handheld games are being replaced by the ever-evolving smartphones. Hell, one could say that Nintendo needed to pitch their console more like a handheld system so they could sell more and then put Pokemon on it, and bada bing, bada boom, you're selling Switches like nobody's business, In fact, the iconic title was so successful that it's been brought to the Switch, and it's one of the third largest selling Pokemon title of all of them. You know, you have red and blue, gold and silver come right after that, which again sold on Game Boys, which made the Game Boy. Like honestly, can you think of any handheld game that drove sales like Pokemon Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire, Bronwyn? Any handheld games that drove sales like that?
No, I still remember my headaches playing this in the car.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, no, for years they put handheld gaming on the map essentially. The Pocket Monsters, dude, Pokemon, little bitty Pocket Monsters, they were there, they were ready all the time, and so like I used to love playing it. And like it's iconic to Nintendo. It put Nintendo on the map. It made the Game Boy what it is today. Essentially, I don't know if there's no Pokemon if Game Boy is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. Or Nintendo is what it is, at least in the handheld dominance that they have as far as that goes. I mean,
and definitely. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying, and definitely thinking of like the handheld dominance. Even their console is handheld. Like it shows through, and even like the flagship kind of gaming system that they offer, has handheld capabilities. So I think that's a huge factor.
Yeah, I mean, and even its dominance in the new handheld gaming market, because like what killed handheld gaming more than anything else? Smartphone games. That's really what killed it more than anything else out there. But Pokemon still dominates on that front too. It's Pokemon Go is still a successful Pokemon game, and it's not the only successful handheld Pokemon game. They have Pokemon Masters as well, and
Quest.
Pokemon Quest, Cafe Mix. I mean, like it sells like hotcakes. So they've been it's been a very adaptive franchise, and it's been iconic to the series. And I think that you really can't have this countdown without having them somewhere on it. But another series where you take a bunch of characters and make them fight each other. Also dominated by Nintendo, and also even starring Pikachu in it, is also on this countdown, and it sneaks the spot right underneath at number 6, which is going to be the Smash Brothers. The Smash Brothers. I said that weird. Smash Brothers. The Smash Brothers. You know, the game the kids are playing with
those boys.
Those boys, you know. You winning, son? Anyways, Smash Bros. Tell us why Smash Bros. Makes this countdown, Brahman.
Yeah, well, this game takes our lovely Nintendo exclusive characters and pins them all against each other in epic player versus player battles. Coming first to the N64 in 1999, Smash Bros. Has seen many iterations from Melee to Brawl, even its newest installment on the Switch, Ultimate. This being a multiplayer game that can host up to 4 players at once has spawned a large competitive community, making way for tournaments both in person and online. This is such a staple for Nintendo because it brings the artistry of their games and unique fighting styles of their flagship characters to the forefront in these epic battles against each other. I'm sure you all recall playing this with your friends. It's a great party game. It's a great competitive game. And I think that it really just sets the stage to highlight what Nintendo does best. You have some sort of an affinity to all these characters that you're choosing to play as. Like you said, Pikachu makes an appearance in this game, and I still will never forget playing with one friend in particular who would just sneak under the stage and then just blast that lightning bolt up nonstop, just over and over again.
Yeah. No, I would argue that this is a cheat one because it has multiple iconic characters within this iconic game. Donkey Kong, Bowser, Kirby, Mario, Mega Man. Like this game has pretty much hit every one of those big icons, everybody from Nintendo. But the reason why I do think it makes our list is because when I close my eyes, I can still see the commercial from '99 when this game came out. When the so happy together, ba ba ba. Yeah. If you've never seen it, definitely look it up.
They just start fighting each other.
And they just start
so
beating the shit out of each other. It's classic '90s commercial. Where it starts one way and then boom goes a complete other way. There's a reason why millennials make shows like Regular Show now. Exactly. But dude, it's iconic. I still play Smash Brothers to this day, and I started back in 1999. So
yeah, I mean, the reason it makes this countdown, Jake, I would even argue this more, is PlayStation All Stars exists. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not on this countdown. Okay. Someone has tried to make franchises where they amalgamate all their franchises together, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Yeah. You're right.
The Shonen Jump fighting game, it also isn't on here. While still a pretty good crossover that amalgamates a bunch of different medias and icons together, doesn't make this countdown because it's not as successful as Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers took those iconic franchises, mashed them up together in an appropriate medium that worked for it. It's so zany, it's so wacky. I mean, you know, like competitive players, if you turn on items and everything like that,
oh my god,
you have just as much chance of winning as some of the other ones.
Oh yeah.
Hit
or
the
like
right.
accidentally killing yourself just by falling off the side of the stage. That's my move.
Yep, that can happen too.
I remember how devastated I was the first time someone told me Kirby sucked. Apparently, you know, I'd been a Kirby player my whole life, and then some competitive player was like, Kirby's like one of the worst on the game, right? And I'm just like, eat a whole bag of dicks. Kirby's that dude.
I mean, Kirby can.
He could, yeah.
He could just inhale them. Well,
I don't want to have that thought in my head now. So,
sorry.
But Smash Brothers isn't the only one on this countdown that's churning conflict. In fact, the Gears of War are turning for this next one. In fact, it actually is the Gears of War.
Yeah.
Dad joke of the year. Tell me a little bit more about why Gears of War makes number 5 on this countdown.
Yeah, number 5 on the countdown, Gears of War. And did somebody say Chainsaw Gun? Because I think I heard someone say Chainsaw Gun. This Epic game, which is crazy. I did not even realize it was made by Epic Games, honestly, until we were going to do this episode. And that blew my mind. Is Fortnite's crazy meth-fueled cousin. And it helped put Xbox on the map in a gruesome way. Gears of War dropped its first installment in 2006, and not to show my age, but it blew my 16-year-old mind at the time. The online play was amazing, as well as an amazing story to back it up. And like most teenage boys, the first time I sniper shot my friend from across the map and just obliterated his head, I was hooked. Shout out Dakota, aka XX Satan's son XX, which is hilarious.
He's never lived it down. Yeah,
we were from a
tag
small
and everything.
We're from a small Christian town, and that dude's name was like Satan's son or something crazy like that. I remember it was so hilarious. I once signed up for a 2v2 tournament with a buddy who had never played this game, and we still made the finals. I'm not saying I quit because it was too easy and that I was a legend, but I'm just saying. Gears has become one of the best-selling franchises on the Xbox 360 and was a true saving grace to an otherwise terrible console, if we're being honest. The series is well known for its emphasis on cover-based combat in which players can use objects to avoid gunfire or safely engage enemies. A true legend that's still going on to this day. We're going to get a new Gears on the new Xbox, and so that's something that I'm super excited for. Marcus Phoenix is kind of one of those iconic names that people think about nowadays, even with gaming. He may not be literally he's definitely not Master Chief by any means, right? But he's just one of those that is sticking around, and he's even going to be in the new one. So
I mean, I feel like he's the closest thing to Master Chief that we have. Other for at least the Microsoft side of things.
For the Microsoft guys, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. We're going through this countdown here, and when it comes to exclusive, iconic, faces of the company kind of thing, Microsoft doesn't really have very many of them.
No.
And with that, I feel like Gears of War has really taken that spotlight, mostly because of the existence of a vacuum. I mean, really, they brought a first-person shooter that had cover in it and a chainsaw gun, and there it goes. Our exclusive title, that's the one we're going to plant our flag on.
Oh yeah, no, but it was.
That's good. I love Gears of War. I'm not shitting on it.
It's still a lot of fun to play, and you can kind of see how Epic, who came from Unreal Tournament and eventually made Fortnite. Now, you can kind of see how this journey's began and how Gears of War influenced some of their other titles, right? But anyway, speaking of legends, myths, murders, and other things that are immature. Who's climbing Mount Olympus this week for number 4, Dodd?
That would be Kratos, the god of war. And while the concept of god of war may seem like something a history teacher came up to gain the interest of his hyper-masculinized students, the classic exclusive title has been a staple in the video game world, but as an absolute standout in terms of exclusive titles. God of War not only has remained loyal to its grotesque take on mythology, but has also remained a Sony flagship title and one of the biggest producer of clout for Sony gamers. That remains true today with Sony. We saw the God of War 5 announcement with the PS5, with the release of PS5, and honestly, I couldn't be more stoked. I cannot wait for Ragnarok. The first God of War 4 was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Visually, it was gorgeous. Gameplay-wise, it was absolutely every part of that game was fantastic. Are you as excited to rip off Valkyrie Wings in 4K,
I'm so
Jake?
excited.
Or on your Xbox? Are you excited to do that? Are you super excited?
Yeah. I'll do it in Assassin's Creed.
Oh, okay. There you go. Bronwyn, are you actually excited to rip off Valkyrie Wings in 4K since you'll actually be able to play it?
Yeah, I'm actually very excited to play this. The last game I think I played in maybe 3 weeks. I could not stop playing it. It was very bingeable. So we'll see. Once this comes out, you guys might not see me for a while.
3 weeks, LOL. My friend was my buddy Sebastian literally had to go to training. He was going to be out of town for 3 weeks.
Really?
I said, bro, let me borrow your PlayStation.
Oh my gosh.
In those 3 weeks, I almost 100%ed Spider-Man and I almost 100%ed God of War. That was the only 2 games I played for those 3 weeks that he was gone, but I almost completed each one of them, and it's a great human achievement for me.
God of War 4?
Life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
I was proud of that.
Boy.
Yeah.
I played the one where he says boy the whole time. That's 4, right?
Dad of
4.
War?
Yeah, Dad of War.
Dad of War.
Yeah, no, it's I
Exactly.
I literally borrowed a friend's PlayStation to play this game. That's how iconic God of War is.
It'll do that.
If we were close, I'd let you borrow my PS5 to play.
I may buy one. Who knows? The cheaper price point.
Exactly. You never know. Well, speaking of fantastical tales available at cheap price points, number 3 on our countdown is the amazing and glorious Legend of Zelda. Brodwin, of course, we got to let you talk about Legend of Zelda because we know you're a huge Legend of Zelda fan. So give us the rundown. Why is Legend of Zelda number 3 on this countdown?
I could barely contain myself. As you see in anticipation, I am wearing my Zelda shirt.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, one of my many Zelda shirts. So this is basically the most epic game you will ever play in your entire life. This game franchise started in 1986 with its first game, The Legend of Zelda, and has spanned all the way to our current times with its most recent installment that came out in 2017, Breath of the Wild, and more to come with eager anticipation. There's 19 games in the Zelda
Shout out
world.
to Hyrule Warriors coming
Yeah.
out in 2020.
Oh yeah, that's exciting too. But each game follows the courageous elf-like boy Link as he sets out on a quest to save Hyrule and the goddess incarnate Princess Zelda from the evil forces of Ganon. The stories differ from each other because they take place in their own unique point in the timeline of the worlds, but they're all reincarnations of these beings of light and spirits. And I could spend all night getting into the intricacies of the lores of this game, so I'll just move on. Jake and Dawn, are you as big of a Zelda fanatics as I am? Although I don't know if that could be possible.
I love Zelda. It's probably one of my most fondest, memories of a game as a kid growing up too. Straight up, Majora's Mask was probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life. It still is. It still is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. And Breath of the Wild has no right being as good as it is. No, right. I spent so much time playing that game and I still think about it. I legitimately still think about that game all the time. And so Zelda it belongs on this list for a very good reason. It's an iconic game franchise.
I absolutely couldn't agree more, especially about Breath of the Wild. I mean, I put so much time into Breath of the Wild myself, and just the vastness of the game. And imagine being the creators of Breath of the Wild and having such an amazing game come out on the fucking Wii U and being on such a trash console.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it's
They're
so
lucky Switch came out.
Exactly. So many more people got a chance to play that game because of it. And it also shows you how bad the Wii U was, because not even a game like Breath of the Wild was good enough to save it,
Yeah. No,
so,
dude, my top 3, if I had to make a top 20 Jake's favorite games, and 3 of them are going to be Zelda games, and it's going to be Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Breath of the Wild, and they're going to be at different spots in that list, but they're on the list, right? And that's 3 from Zelda alone, in my top games list. And so, because they're bangers, they're just amazing games and they're iconic.
I think it's always hard to decide between which is better, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. I personally favor Majora's Mask, and I know that's not the popular decision.
I like the gameplay of Ocarina, but the story and the lore behind Majora's Mask is just too... Yeah. It's just so great. I just want that all the time.
It's a lot of fun.
I love the game so much. I have a Triforce tattooed on me. Can't see where it is, but...
It's somewhere. It exists. Well, number of 2 on the countdown probably has is probably tattooed somewhere on Jake. Probably where you can likely, if I had to guess. But number 2 on the countdown, if you've noticed, there hasn't been very many Microsoft exclusives, so we had to mention the most iconic Microsoft exclusive, Halo. Tell us why Halo makes this countdown.
Yeah, coming in at number 2, Halo. My boy Master Chief. I do need to get a Halo. I will get Legendary tattooed somewhere. Like the Legendary crest. That's what we're gonna do. But I could legit do an hour show on Halo and what it means to me as a gamer. I've been playing Halo for almost 19 years. If my Halo experience was a person, it could vote. If my Halo experience was a person, America would send it to war. If my Halo experience was a person, it'd be too old for a Netflix movie. Anyway, I could keep going, but not 100% sure if there is the Xbox without Halo. Like, it's one of those kind of things, like it was its franchise, it was its flagship franchise, and it's carried the console for all of these years. Master Chief is fucking iconic. And he's put on the same level as Mario, and the plumber has 30, 40 years on this guy. So when Halo Infinite drops in 2021, it'll make it actually exactly 20 years that this franchise has been around. So it's definitely like a staple for Microsoft, and I don't think it's going anywhere soon. Halos 1 through 3 are undisputed classics in the gaming world. They changed the first-person shooter genre for all time, and they changed online gaming on consoles specifically forever as well. I still think about the giant 16-person lobbies that were in Halo 2, and while they were toxic at times, they are also some of my most fondest memories as a child. And so they've also won in the numbers game. 46 million games sold and $3 billion generated in revenue. And that's just from the first three games, Halos 1, 2, and 3. And that's as of 2012. I couldn't even find updated numbers. That was still 2012. So that was years ago. But, unfortunately, as awesome as Master Chief is, at the end of the day, he's no Mario. And so he's close, but he's no Mario. So
number 1 on our countdown.
Who's number 1?
Is someone that you can't compare to Mario because it is Mario. There's nobody. There's undoubtedly no one on this countdown holds a candle to Mario. Mario is hands down the most iconic, and this countdown is really easy to make because of how iconic Mario is. I mean, he is a flagship staple for Nintendo. Comrade Mario has been taking down monarchs and erecting red flags all the way since 1981 when he first appeared as Jumpman in the classic Donkey Kong series. Since then, Mario has been busy. He is a renowned drag racer, Olympic athlete, cage fighter, tennis player, soccer player, and doctor, on top of being a plumber. Okay? Even his brother has a side gig as a famous ghost hunter. So, honestly, the Mario Brothers are pretty much the socialist Kardashians of the video game universe, and the iconic exclusive title just further validates that. Honestly, is there a more iconic video game character, Bronwyn? I think that when you think of video games and you think of video game characters, Mario is the first one that comes to your mind, is it not?
Link.
Link.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I definitely think this holds its place in the number one title, and everyone. I mean, even I feel like even if you don't play video games, you know Mario. It's just a part of our culture, and yeah.
Mario transcends gaming at this point. Yeah, he's just a part of culture, of human culture, not just like Japanese culture or like, American or anything like that, or Nintendo culture, gamer culture. He's just a part of human culture. He's fucking Mario,
right? He is.
And so it's the dude, iconic, legendary, all the good things. Can't say enough about him.
I know, Comrade Mario, man.
No, and I definitely it's probably I want to say I've played Mario games longer than any other game I've played. One of the first video games I ever played was on Super Nintendo, and I want to say it was like Super Mario World, and it's that was one of the first video games at home I had ever played. And it's crazy to think that things like Mario Odyssey that I just played not too long ago, or Paper Mario this past year, are still continuations of the same franchise that I used to play, like on this little fucking just that bad boy in there, and but I
still remember the taste.
It's carried Nintendo. He's carried Nintendo not on his back, because obviously Nintendo has a lot of iconic characters. We've talked about a lot of them today. But he's definitely one of the reasons why, we think you think Mario, you think video games.
Right.
Are you think video games? You think Mario?
One character that does get an honorable mention on this countdown has got to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes.
And that whole franchise. But Sonic is a perfect example of a good IP can't necessarily carry a system, because Sonic was Sega's Mario for the longest time. And competed with Mario. There is no way you would have a Mario and Sonic go to the Olympic Games, and that was like a Mario and the Sonic go to the Olympic Games was kind of like the death of the hippie funeral kind of service for the war between Nintendo and Sega. That happened a long time ago, because like at that point in time, once they're collabing, the war is over.
Yeah, to see how readily Sonic games and titles are on Nintendo now is so crazy to think of where we came from whenever we were very young. Whenever I was a little kid and had the Sega Genesis, and literally the only reason I had the Sega Genesis was to play Sonic, and it's so crazy to think that, Sonic, like you said, I think that's honestly why he didn't really make the list. Obviously, he makes, honorable mention because he carried Sega to where we still think of Sega. We think Sonic, right? But we're not going to go buy the new Sega Gen 5 console this year.
we're trying to focus on people that really defined their consoles.
Yeah, and kept them alive.
And he kept them alive. And Sonic was definitely definitive, but it didn't keep it alive. So I think that's why it gets a good honorable mention spot.
Not quite fast enough, Sonic.
Exactly. But that's all of our shitty opinions for this evening. If you think any of our opinions are trash and you want to feel free to argue with us on social media, feel free to do so at all of our social media platforms. I welcome your anger. Your hatred fuels my power. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, Twitch. You can always follow any of us on any of our personal social medias. You can follow me at Rusbane on Twitter and Twitch. Jake, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at this Gonzo Gone Live on Twitch and the Twitters.
And Braun, where can they find you?
You can find me at Space Nymph on Instagram and Twitch.
Yep. And big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly. And thank you for making sure that Jake knows that he is reformed, bro, and that this is further proof that he needs to get a PS5. I think that's an excellent point to make. Thank you also for keeping chat nice and clean and full of cheers. We appreciate you. We also appreciate our video producer, Cape, our fourth man of the team that's always behind the screens, keeping everything looking nice and pretty back there. Thank you guys so much. If any of you guys are interested in helping us out on Geek Life, we need so much help. Email us at hello@geeklife.live if you are interested in anything in video production, audio production, or anything that can help us generate content, because we are trying to churn out content as quickly as we can for you guys, and we want to make sure we got some good stuff. Anything else that you guys, anything else I missed in chat that you guys want to address before we head off for the evening?
I did see where we are still waiting on a sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day and Abe's Odyssey. That was Saint Sinner and Littlest Nelly talking about Abe's Odyssey. Abe's Odyssey, still waiting myself, guys. Fucking loved Abe's Odyssey. That was one of my favorite games as a kid. And Conker's Bad Fur Day. Honestly, that's another Microsoft exclusive that like we would love to see get a reboot, get a remake, get a something, because it did for a little while, and I don't know if it performed as well, and I think Microsoft may have took a step back, but oh man, yeah. So those were just some comments I saw that really hit the nostalgia buttons.
Yeah,
I got to go back and play some Conker's Bad Fur Day and some Abe's Odyssey, to be honest.
For sure. Brahman, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just had a great time talking to y'all about consoles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be back same time next week, same place for more of the nerdy news you need to know. Till then, stay classy, a bunch of filthy nerds. We'll see you next week.